From FingerLakes1.com, this is Inside the FLX. I'm your host, Josh Durso, and today we're talking to Brad Jones, Bob Moll, and Michelle Simolo. Last year, Brad was on the podcast talking about Ideal Way, and today he's brought a couple program graduates. Brad, can we call them graduates or getting near graduation?
Very, very good graduates.
They're here to talk about the process, what it was like going through it, and to give us a little more insight into what that was all like. Brad, first of all, thanks a lot for coming back.
Well, thank you, Josh, and I want to thank Finger Lakes One. It was just a year ago we were together, and I remember it very well from the standpoint, I think one of the topics was obesity is the new epidemic. Mm-hmm. I know when I was growing up, we all knew smoking was somewhat bad and drinking was somewhat bad, but it just seems like the last 3 to 4 years, obesity is becoming the new household term, so to speak. And a year ago, I went on this protocol diet, Ideal Protein. For your viewers, it's pretty much a high-protein, soy-based product with little or no carbs. And we'll touch on that a little bit more in the show. Mm-hmm. But it was new to me. I went on it. 11 weeks, I lost 41 pounds. And I had a lot of rewards, not just from medical, my lab reports and less medicine, but just self-esteem. Mm-hmm. I was always a little heavy. And I sense there's some viewers today saying they're a little heavy. And we've got a program that can help them. And but the biggest change I'm seeing, Josh, in the past year that I've run this clinic is the narrative is changing. I talked to many physicians with their clients being part of our team. There were days when all of us went to physician, whether it was cholesterol or blood pressure. We'd come out and have another pill. We'd sit in our car and we say we dodged another bullet. Yep. I think the medical industry's getting it. I think our society's getting it, that obesity isn't acceptable. Mm-hmm. Wellness programs, fitness programs. Used to go to restaurants. Remember when we used to say, well, that restaurant's very good because volume is what counts. Yep. So the narrative is changing, and that's what I've seen, and I've seen it for the better. The fresh, it's interesting you say that, the fresh food, the farm to table, that sort of aspect, even on the dinner side and going out to eat. But let's introduce these two individuals who are here with us. Of course, you do the honors since you've been working with them for several months now? Several months. It's actually a treat to have both these individuals, Michelle Simolo, who resides in Tyre, along with Bob Moll, a former Gould's employee that we kind of went through the ranks together, and he and his family live in Waterloo. And the reason I've asked them to sit in is last year we were just talking about a protocol diet. I like to talk about results. Yep. And they both have a success story to share. And I'd rather have the viewer hear it right from them than somebody like me. Well,
okay, so Bob, I'm seeing here, you were able to lose 71.2 pounds.
That's right.
Around 70 pounds. That's thoroughly impressive. What was that experience like, and what was the whole, we'll call it a journey. That's a journey. What was that journey like for you?
Well, it was certainly my health was what drove me to seek this out, and I'm very fortunate, I think, that I found the Ideal Protein protocol. My health, since I've lost this 70 pounds, has been remarkably better. Mm-hmm. As Brad mentioned, you would go to the doctor and he would continue to add pill after pill. For me now, my doctor's absolutely astounded because now he's taking medications away, and
which is something you don't hear very often.
No, not at all. He said that for 99% of his patients, he adds a pill, and for me, he's starting to take them away. So. That's what drove me to the plan, and it's been wildly successful for me.
Now, Michelle, similar story. You lost around 50 pounds. That's again, it's incredible. It's just and over a relatively short period of time. I think when people think about these giant numbers, they think about, oh God, this is going to take me a year and a half, 2 years, 2.5 years. Do I have the willpower to last that long? Will my health hold out that long if you have a weight problem? So what was your experience like?
It took me just 6 months to lose 50, a little over 50. And I've been maintaining for about
4 or 5 months.
Yeah, yep. But I think for me as a child, having weight issues from day one, struggling, always heavy, and then approximately 10 years ago, decided to have gastric bypass, ended up gaining half of that weight back. Oh. So when I saw this as a way to kind of eat healthy, exercise, learn the tools, started the program, and in 6 months was able to do it. And it really taught me how to just kind of live every day and be successful.
And yes, the train goes by here regularly. We hear it all the time. So, of course, this is a process. Brad, I think it would be ideal for you to sort of walk us through what the whole process looks like as far as this program is concerned, because it's multi-phase, multi-step, and it sounds like it keeps you focused on short-term goals, kind of?
Yes, and we talked at length a year ago about phase one, and really phase one is a client coming in, sitting down and saying, this is what I would like to lose.
Right.
And it's amazing, in phase one, sometimes that line keeps moving because somebody may say, Brad, I want to lose 30 pounds, and then they get to 30, they want to lose 35 and 40. Right. And both Bob and Michelle went through this. And I'll touch a little on it. Phase one, if your viewers could imagine your body being made up of 3 reservoirs or 3 tanks. Tank number one, I think everybody will understand, tank number one is full of sugar.
Right.
When I retired from ITT Goulds Pumps, I took a nap every day because I thought that's what retirees were supposed to do. Little did I know I was in a sugar coma.
Right.
And by the way, your viewers tuning in today are probably in a sugar coma. I used to drink 4 cans of diet soda, Diet Coke, because I was always thirsty. Well, I was just feeding the source of my problem, sugar. So getting back to the 3 tanks, tank number one, we want to drain the sugar, the salt, glucose, calories, carb. Tank number 2 is your muscle. We don't want to affect your muscle mass. And I thought when I started taking supplements, oh boy, here's more pills. Supplements aren't more pills.
Right.
They're just to keep your muscle mass intact. In phase one, it's really tank number 3 that matters. You go through this sugar withdrawal, you go into something called ketosis. I didn't know what it meant, but boy, I tell you what, it's my best friend right now. And what it is, it puts your pancreas in overdrive 24/7, basically going after those fatty cells. And you look at the protein protocol diet, for a lady, they can expect to lose 2.5 to 3 pounds a week if they play by the rules. We'll touch on that. And a man, 3.5 to 4 pounds. And I had mentioned that I lost 41 pounds in 11 weeks. Well, you do the math, that comes out to 3 or 4 pounds a week.
Yep.
So, but that's phase one. The exciting thing is now a year later, I've had over 100 clients. About 50 of them, 50%, are actually in phase 4, such as Michelle and Bob. They don't really come in and buy product. They come in and they want to be held accountable.
Right.
Part of the program here is whether you're buying a nickel's worth of product from me, you're still coming in because that scale holds you accountable.
Right.
Michelle's in and out in 5 minutes every Wednesday morning. Bob and his son, they're in there Wednesday evening. But phase 4 is really the education about what this program's about. a new mindset. Use me for example. I go to Wegmans, I go to the produce area. I don't go through aisles 1 through 10 because that's all manufactured food.
Right.
I've been off this protocol diet longer than Michelle and Bob. And those 4 Diet Cokes, I haven't had a Diet Coke in a year and a half, and I'm not going back because I learned what sugar does to your body. And really, phase 4, when you hit that goal, it's really about portion control. You know, instead of more being better, really less is better. Food is no longer a priority in your life.
Does your appetite actually change throughout the process where the sugary, the I'll call them vices, kind of
It really does,
dissipate?
and I know Bob and Michelle will expand on it. When you get into ketosis, it's a mindset, but it's really, well, for your viewers, if they're like me, going by the refrigerator at 10 o'clock at night, you know, I've got to have ice cream or I got to have a spoon of peanut butter. When you're in ketosis and that pancreas is working 24/7, food is no longer a priority.
Right.
And that's the fun part about this protocol diet. I mean, you know, food, soda, beer, wine, they're all good moderations, but ketosis, there's nothing better, and that's what it's all about.
Okay, so it's time to talk personal experience. In your guys' opinion, having gone through it, Bob, we'll start with you. What was this diet or this lifestyle, I'll call it, and what did it offer compared to other diets or other things that you had tried in the past?
Well, certainly for me, weight loss has been a lifelong project. I think Michelle alluded to that earlier. I've struggled with it all of my life, tried all kinds of different ways to lose weight over the years. I found this process to be really quite simple. It doesn't take a lot of preparation. There isn't a lot of planning that you have to do for the week. I did this in conjunction with my son, who's on the road all day, every day. So even for somebody in that situation, it's a simple process to follow. You have to follow the protocol to the letter. And when you do, you have success like I've enjoyed, as well as my son.
Similar experience, Michelle?
Absolutely. I think the weight loss is why you get into it, because you want to see that number go down on the scale. But what happens mentally and physically and the energy level, and you don't have that mentality of, okay, I'm going to grab a bag of chips or ice cream and sit in front of the TV anymore. It's let's get our bottled water and let's take a walk, or let's enjoy life. And I think that's the big change for me, is just kind of changing that the mental piece of it. And then the physical piece just comes along. So, but it's the mental, and just having that drive, and you continue to feel better and better and better every day. So.
And what has the experience been like working with Brad specifically? Of course, I'm sure every coach is different in this sense, but obviously you have to be a people person. You have to want to work with people individually.
Brad's dedication, and I can certainly speak for me, his dedication to me as a person was certainly instrumental in my success. Every time I go, still, I know that he's in it for me. Definitely the support that we got. I mean, he would send a text and say, keep going. And, that was very helpful. And I knew he was going to make me accountable and still to this day, I weigh in and I know he's there. And, if we have a fluctuation on the scale, or maybe there's some weeks that I kind of maintain, hey, that's where I'm supposed to be. But he's supportive all the way. So that helps a lot.
And I would certainly mirror everything Michelle said. Brad's been a great coach, both for myself as well as my son. But I've also noted with Brad that privacy is very important to him. He guards the privacy of all of his clients, and that's something I appreciate. Now, here I am publicly sharing the results, but that's okay. That's on my terms, and he asked me if I'd be willing to do this. But he never offers up information for his other clients, and I've always appreciated that as well.
Of course, not every person is going to want to come onto it in sort of a public way like this and share their results, but it kind of seems like from what you've said, Brad, from what you, Bob, and Michelle, it seems like people are excited to talk about this after it happens. Obviously, Brad, growth has been a big theme in the last, not the scale, but other kinds of growth, positive growth for you guys. 2 clinics, one in Seneca Falls, one in Lockport. You and your son, Greg, run those 2 clinics. What's that been like, and what has, obviously, taking on more and more clients probably presents a couple little challenges?
Well, challenges, but they're all positive challenges. In the case of my son's fitness facility, there's about 1,200 members, and you look at the weight of those 1,200 members, it's sad to say, but about 1/3 are even either overweight or obese. Mm-hmm. But they get it that they should exercise.
Right.
Well, none of your viewers are going to be able to go to a fitness club and lose 60 pounds on a treadmill.
Right.
So with the clinic we have in Lockport and a clinic we have here, is we're going to get you in position to lose the weight, change your mindset, how you go forward, and then no better time to go into the door number 2, which is the fitness club, and maintain that new lifestyle. The commitment that I give, not just to Michelle and Bob, but the other 100 clients, is this is for life. If people gain weight back, it doesn't speak highly of Ideal Way. Mm-hmm. I'd like to touch on that. Our facility, or where I get to hang my shingle, is with Ryan Chiropractic and Wellness. I can't say enough about Chris Ryan, as well as the Bonifiglia family, because they've allowed me to start this here in Seneca Falls, Waterloo. Currently have clients coming in not just from these 2 communities, but I have 2 individuals coming up from Homer and Bridgeport. And the only advertising I do is through Finger Lakes 1. So I want to thank you and Jim as well. But it's really about word of mouth and the commitment. There's one word, and I know Bob or Michelle will probably be able to say it probably as good as I'm going to say it. If you're ready, give me a call. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm located at Ryan Chiropractic, but you have to be ready. This protocol diet is not easy, but maybe you would like to share on how good the food is. It's it's packets of powder, it's protein shakes, it's supplements, but you're never really hungry. So I'll maybe let you expand a little on that, Bob.
Yeah, absolutely, Brad. When I first started, Brad told me that when I get into this and I actually enter ketosis, I'd walk by a piece of chocolate cake and not be interested, and I kind of chuckled and thought, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
But he's absolutely correct. I was never hungry through this process. And as I mentioned, it's a strict diet, but the food that Brad provides really is very delicious. I've really been impressed with the flavor and the quality of the food. It's been just great.
Is that one of the big roadblocks when it comes to convincing people to do this sort of thing? Because they don't want to hear about meal planning. They're busy. You have a busy schedule. You don't want to think about having to plan out 7 meals on Sunday night right before you have to go back to work after a weekend. Does the way the plan is set up sort of establish that that's not a requirement, it's not necessary?
Well, what I share with all the clients, you have to give yourself 10 minutes a day, 5 minutes to fill in the journal, to make sure you take your supplements, to make sure you have one ideal protein item for breakfast, one for lunch, and then a snack. The nice thing about this protocol diet, your dinners are just like the dinners you're having today with your families, but it's portion control.
Right.
It's 8 ounces of ground beef or turkey breast, chicken breast, but guess what? With the hamburger, you don't get to use the bread, you don't get to use the mustard, you don't get to use the ketchup, because everything you put on it and what we're accustomed to is sugar, sugar, sugar. So there are some rules. I mean, while you're on this diet, you can't have certain items. Believe it or not, fruit. I love fruit. And somebody's going to tell me I got to go on a diet and not have fruit. Well, fruit's full of sugar.
Right.
But guess what? I'm back on fruit now because I got to my goal. But during ketosis, you can't have bread. You can't have soda. But there's so many varieties. And back to this whole mindset. I mean, I didn't even know where produce counter was at Wegmans, and now that's where I live. So my mindset, my eating habits, and this is my goal here, especially because many of the clients I know, it's been word of mouth, is I love seeing people's self-esteem bubble. I still remember to this day going down to see Joyce Senacropi for a gift down at Senacropi Florist, and she pulled me in the side room shortly after I lost my 41 pounds, and she said, "Brad, what's wrong?" And I said, "Thank you." But, you know, we all have, and that's what I want the viewer to know, is self-esteem's critical. There's so many things going in our world today. And boy, if you can feel better, look better, and more than that is just, you know, having you walk into your doctor's office. I remember Bob saying, "Wow, your doctor?" I mean, for the first 5 minutes, he couldn't say anything else.
No, absolutely. He was just so delighted with my progress. I'm a type 2 adult onset diabetes. And my last visit with him, he said, "You know, Bob, your body doesn't even know you're a diabetic anymore." And that was impressive words for me.
Is that one of the interesting things that you guys sort of experience is, like, especially you, Brad, that isn't the typical protocol for how this works. When you have diabetes forever, and you just live with it, and you deal with it, and that's that. But this program really can actually tip that around and trick your body, as you said, Bob, into not even realizing that you are a diabetic.
Yeah, I took daily medication for diabetes, and I no longer do that. My A1C is well below their set limit. So that's been great. I used to take an antacid every day. I don't do that anymore either. It's a simple process to follow. The food's good. I've tried other methods that require a lot of planning, as you alluded to, Josh.
Yeah.
The planning on this is very limited. I go see Brad once a week, get some food for the week, and then for dinner, Joanne and I have what we usually have,
Right.
minus the potatoes and things like that. Sure.
And for the viewer that's checking in or watching today, it's averages about $85 a week. And if somebody told me that I could lose 41 pounds in 11 weeks for under $1,500, I would have done it 20 years ago. This protocol diet's much different than all the diets we've used. Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, Atkins. I've tried them all, hit that 2-week window, and then back on all the sugar. This one, you get into ketosis, high protein, very little calories, maybe 600 to 800. So you're not counting things. If you follow the protocol, it will work. And I maintain a weekly chart. In the case of Michelle and Bob, it was always minus every week. And that's what the 100 clients that I have. Not to brag, but I would basically say 95% plus of those 100 clients have met their goal or succeeded. So this will show results not just on week one, but also on week 10, 20. But it's exciting because some people are on it for 6 or 7 weeks. Some people are in phase 1 for 20, 25 weeks, depending on where they are on that BMI chart.
Right.
I mean, the viewers probably listening today, I know I'm 5'11". When I went in and weighed in at 215, I was thinking, geez, is that healthy weight or overweight? Well, I was in the category obese, and that's a wake-up call.
Yeah.
And I want to say a lot of viewers are probably in that overweight, obese. Now it's kind of fun being in that healthy weight BMI index. So we keep score not only from the minuses every week, but we do body measurements from the standpoint of taking inches off, BMI. Ideal Protein goes to market where you have to be tied in with physicians and or a chiropractor. I just mentioned I'm blessed to be with Chris Ryan Chiropractic and Wellness in the Bonadent building. But we have a way where all the clients fill out a health profile to allows me to talk to their physicians if needed and vice versa, especially with this HIPAA law and everything. Everything's confidential. So I just want to thank Bob. I want to thank Michelle for being as open as they are, because they're phase 4 and I hold them accountable, and I'll be holding them accountable for the rest of our lives.
So that's my last question for the two of you. You guys are phase 4.
Yeah.
What would you say to, having gone through it, what would you say to someone who's either thinking about it or in that first phase?
I would definitely, for me, I think, like Brad said, you have to be ready and you have to be dedicated to the process.
Right.
And you're just, I was done. I was done being heavy. I was done having no energy. And I think if somebody's sitting there and asking themselves, can they do it? They can do it. 100% they can do it. I am an example. You know, I've been through all of the diets. Nothing worked. Nothing. And here I am. So, and this is working. I'm maintaining, which is what I wanted to do. So.
Plan.
Well, that's certainly a common theme among all of us here then, because if you're ready, make a 6-month commitment if that's what you need.
Right.
And you will find success, and it'll be easier than you think it's going to be. At least it was for me. It really turned into quite a simple process, and successful too. So, but you have to follow the protocol. If you step outside and cheat, it'll become very apparent to you and everybody else soon.
And your coach.
Yeah, and your coach. That's right. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming in today. Obviously, a really heavy topic, but something that needs to be discussed and people need to understand can be talked about in the open like this. And I think what you guys are doing is great.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you.
Well, that's going to do it for us today. I'd like to thank Brad, Bob, Michelle, our listeners, and FingerLakes1.com for making this podcast possible. Inside the FLX airs Sundays at 7 p.m. on Spectrum Channel 12 and is available on iTunes, Stitcher, and the FingerLakes1.com app. Thanks for listening, and we will catch you next time.